Greetings, community. It's Kevin of Entropy Comics, and kind of modified the setup a little bit. A little twisted up. Anyways, yeah. So I'm back. I'm digging this setup, and what I want to talk about. I am at a loss right now. I wasn't quite ready. At the same point, I am. La Crucis, I appreciate you being here. Comic Crazy, you too. I am still getting used to the setup in the sense of I'm trying to really learn how all this stuff works. I even want to figure out how to freaking drop. Wait a minute, is that how you do it? If I highlight that, uh-huh, do that. If I copy that and throw that down in there as a pasty thing, does that work? Cool, I'm wearing pasties. So I'm really ignorant of how computer stuff works, so I threw that up there. Even if you hadn't decided to jump on, I won't even how to figure out how to get you back here. But no problems. Really what I want to do is I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about this whole entropy and comics journey. Those of you may know me from 1-2 Comic Talk, which is my son and I. Quickly, the premise of 1-2 Comic Talk, it was founded on the idea of Kai and I. We went to a signing event, and it was his first signing event. It was shortly after I just got back into comics. When I mean shortly, I'm talking just a couple of months. And my love has always been meeting with artists and creators and telling them how much they've influenced how I look at life sometimes after in which did I read their books, how they've altered my perspective, or how they've, in many cases, augmented my appreciation of things. So I guess going to signing events for me was a form of gratitude and selfish pleasure, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is I was getting a definitive return in the appreciation that I was trying to give. So Kai and I went to go see David Boer on the release day of, well, it was actually the release week of Canto. It was a Saturday. We went to a signing event at Golden Apple, met with David, got our book signed, and Kai and I went to across the street to a hot dog, a restaurant called Pink's. It's famously known. Hey, how are we doing? Appreciate you being here. And over when we went to Pink's, he was looking for Pokemon. He was doing a little Pokemon search. And in that time of he, getting some Pokemon stuff and all that, I asked, hey, man, did you dig this? He said, yeah. Did you get the same kind of feeling as I do? And I explained to him how I feel about meeting artists and creators. And he said, yeah. And I said, people like this more times than not really don't receive the recognition that we feel that these individuals deserve. So that was the birth of 1-2 Comic Talk. Kai and I wanted to give to the community, one, our experiences, and two, trying to help those in the comic book community gain exposure, I guess, was the foundation of 1-2 Comic Talk. Now, in that journey and everything, it became evident that we weren't able to provide, I guess, what we were looking for as far as gaining recognition for certain artists and creators, and even creators of the YouTube type. It didn't seem like it was I don't know. It wasn't working for Kai and I, but he didn't want me to stop. He knew that I still had, which I still do, a bunch of ideas for shows and a lot more contribution that I want to still make. He was still trying to, as kids do, just go through life, teenage years, everything else, still find himself, and in that time, in that journey, he's gained a lot of new appreciation for his own understanding of life, which is, he's taken up surfing. He's done a lot, along with he's still trying to maintain the love and appreciation for comics. So he doesn't have the same contribution as he did. And I know I'm like I said, as in the title, I'm rambling on. But my daughter basically came to me after a year and a half, and it was last year in January, roughly this time. It was the beginning of the new year that she knew that I was about to call it quits for 1-2 Comic Talk. I was it, and she didn't want me to do it. My daughter didn't want me to do it. So she said, "Look, give it a year. If you lose all your passion, all your love, all your want to help and aid individuals that are trying to find themselves in the comic community or trying to gain certain recognition, if you no longer enjoy that, go ahead and leave. But if that love is still there, then you're just going to miss that. There's not a reason to leave." She had a point. So I developed Entropy in Comics. The idea behind Entropy in Comics was to reflect everything that is in comics. Sometimes series are hot, sometimes series are cold. Sometimes titles are hot, sometimes titles are cold. Sometimes the market for a particular title is super hot, and then maybe it die out, or maybe it never got hot, and then all of a sudden it's going through the roof. Entropy in Comics was basically to reflect on everything that was hit and miss, hot and cold, the way stories reflect, how they burn inside you. Sometimes how a story may be sitting dead and cold for so long, and all of a sudden the ending hits you, and it hits you hard. So that was the idea behind Entropy, is the randomness, the chaoticness of when I have the time to be able to do shows like this, and just kind of reflect on how the market is. Yes, I am back, and I appreciate you being back. So that is the premise behind 1-2 Comic Talk. That was the birth of Entropy in Comics. A year has now come. I'm only a week out, a week and a half, and now that I have this new rig, as you see, it's nice and clean. There is still a contribution I want to make. That contribution is, I don't think I'm really ready for interviews. I think there's enough people doing interviews out there. I think there's enough people doing interviews really well out there and gaining the recognition and deserved, I guess, viewership that these individuals need to sustain their livelihood. And that was one of the things I did not want to do, is I felt that it was possible that I could have been not giving what I was trying to obtain for these individuals. I didn't want to actually be the exact opposite, meaning, if you're not able to provide, maybe you're actually take it away. I didn't want to take away. So, yeah. I know that was a kind of long-winded. I know it seemed all vague. To put it together real quick, I started 1-2 Comic Talk. He kind of faded away, but he's still with me today. We have this new rig, and we're going to do some unboxings, and he still have interest in more stuff of late than he has in a while. Entropy in Comics has been around now almost a solid year, and with you solid people that keep cruising through, make it the reason why I want to stay. I'm still in talks with a lot of people as far as behind the industries. It's how I knew about a lot of stuff like Shadecraft, Stray Dogs. Even talking, to Scotty Young, when he was even just conceptualizing, or after conceptualizing and putting on to paper and getting the final okay from Marvel about Strange Academy. Just, I am still in talks with people. I still work in the industry to where there's offices around me, and I still have great interest to where I want to pass this type of information off to you. My segue. Next, what I want to end up telling you is, check this out. I was talking to some people, and due to the way the industry is running right now, and due to the way materials are now getting really, really short in supply, and even that materials in which that you can find supply in, there's short supply of laborers that are able to provide that craft. That is proving to be a real point in the marketplace throughout the world. As far as us is concerned, this is what I'm getting at. A lot of these multiple printings are going away. As of you're going to see shortly after the first quarter of next year, you're not going to see a lot of multiple printings. As far as the publishers are concerned, yes, they want to sell books, but they're not going to do it at the risk of publishing so many books to where they're wasting so much material. And after the cost of gas, transportation, all the absorbed costs through all the multitudes of individuals that have to try to provide a profit to keep their business afloat, it's not sustainable. So multiple printings are pretty much going away in multiple facets of the industry when it comes to comics. Now, it's going to be a slow thing, like I said, after the first quarter, but you're going to start to see it. What does that mean? That means that when it comes to sitting there and waiting for that second, third, fourth printing of a certain cover or a certain artist or whatever, so you can go ahead and flip it on a secondary market, it might not be as advantageous of a wait as it used to be, being that you might not be seeing these printings. Also, on the flip of that, what it's going to end up doing is going to end up providing individuals who end up obtaining the first printings to maintain the, how should I say, value factor of those first printings back the way it used to be in the day before such multiple printings were the game. It's going to be interesting to see how we as the community end up responding to this. Me personally, I think it's a great idea. I don't like seeing the waste, and I like the idea that when you end up buying your first and or second printing and then they stop it there, well, that not only says that you do have that one, in the case of, say, Canto, 3,663 books of the first printing of the first cover A. It means that one, that those in which that were either looking at the book because they saw a solid story and or art are now given the value behind something that they were taking a shot on in the dark on some people that were not necessarily that known in the industry, and trying to give them the money that they well deserved, as opposed to individuals that are purely just trying to make money on the secondary market. I like that idea personally, even for a person that does want to try to sell some books on the secondary market. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not playing either side of the coin as much as I'm trying to play the coin. I'm flipping it and let it spin, and I'm just telling you all the sides I see. So that's kind of something to look forward to, is preparing for the understanding that this is what the market is going to, is they're going to start cutting down on these multiple printings when it comes to books. And when it comes to books, I think they're going to go ahead and start hitting the demographics hard again. They still want to provide people out there with the books, but they want to now, I think, scrutinize what exactly they're deciding to print and not print, because it's going to have to end up being something that they can guarantee a percentage of sales out of the printing. And I know most things are again, FOC and so forth, print to order. But at the same point, I am telling you, from a person that just works in different aspects of different industries, is you never order the minimum order. That's not something that you do. And when you think that, I'm not saying that you're hard speccing, but I mean, 3,663. You mean certain places, instead of ordering just 10 to get that 1 in 10, couldn't order 15 or 20 to get the, I'm to round it out, 63. And somebody ordered odd numbers, like, I only want 4 or 3 or 5, or it just seems odd. So you're going to start seeing people again scrutinizing their numbers and exactly what they want to print when it comes to FOC. And people, much like Chris 26 and I, how we look way down the road, and we're looking 2.5, 3 months down the road, and not just looking at the final order cut off. You're going to see that practice a lot more by us in the community, in the sense of we're going to be scrutinizing what we want to buy on paper, because the movement is more digital. I'm not making up the rules, especially because I want to break them. I got boxes everywhere. So I'm just telling you how the practices in the industry are kind of leaning towards, as far as they want to make more stuff more digital because it's cheaper for them. Us that love that old comic smell is going to have more difficulty gaining some of these titles, as we saw, what was that, last year when a lot of titles got phased out, especially on the DC end. We'll see how this turns into. Yeah, I'm rather curious myself. You tell me what you think things are going to be kind of looking forward down in the future. But I want to recap pretty much this year. One, I am asking you, the community, of all the books that you saw come out this year, not that yours are necessarily your favorite, not that necessarily sold the most units. I want to know what affected you. There was a couple of titles out there that really had stories, not necessarily a whole title run, not necessarily a whole arc or whatever, but just had maybe sometimes a couple of lines or sometimes a couple of pages that hit me hard. And, in the case of some titles, there was some one-shots that came out there, and one-shot in particular was one of the books for me that was this year's hardcore title. And then I don't even know why it hit me the way it did, but the book Eden hit me. Eden. I don't know about you guys, what books hit you, but yeah, man. But that's also that. And about basically 16 months ago, I ended up hearing about a couple of titles. Those titles were Stray Dogs and Shadecraft. My hope for Shadecraft is that it ended up becoming like an Amazon type title. I really want this thing to happen. And I am looking forward. It was initially, from my understanding, only supposed to be 5 issues, and that was going to be it. I am looking forward to see how this whole thing develops. Shadecraft. Stray Dogs, just like Kanto, I can wait until it's done correctly. If they end up doing an animation to where it's done correctly, I am so there. I don't want them to butcher up stories that I really enjoyed as ongoing titles. It's a whole series. The story tells so well of Stray Dogs and of Kanto. And I know Kanto is not finished out yet. But if Kanto was to stop at just that one arc, it would not only go down as one of the greater, stories of, what was that, 2019, but beyond that, it would be something that would allow individuals to say, see, you can go ahead and buy all ages books and not be ridiculed because of, look, how the quality of such, a story is being told. It'd be in an ongoing, or not ongoing, but, these multi aspects to this whole story. So you got, what is it? 4 different stories to its whole title. And then a couple of one-shots that makes up the whole book of like the Wizard of Oz. And when they do come out with a nice hard binder or something with, gold edge or something that's meant to be, how should I say, taking the words of David Boer and not desecrating them by putting in some cheap paper, something of high quality. That'd be something that's worthy to buy for me. I don't normally buy that stuff, but yeah, I would have that on my shelf. So, people, a quick recap. I talked about a few books of last year, and the big books for me, as far as what I knew from the year before, were, like I said, Stray Dogs, Continue on Strange Academy, Shadecraft. I went pretty heavy as far as end up going slab crazy, and I ended up receiving, I don't know, maybe around 2 full boxes, which is not normal for me, of last year. And I'm still waiting on a whole nother box of slabs to arrive, my Kanto and Stray Dog stuff. As far as the stories go, you guys know me, I end up reading a lot. and I'm going to start doing some reviews that will be a little bit interesting and unique. Hopefully those reviews will be on I'm going to shoot for like something quick on Wednesdays and something rather long and entertaining on Friday nights. We'll see how that transpires. I am trying to put together, let's say, almost a regular schedule, but I just know that's really not me. That's not Entropy. And I don't want to start a regular schedule and then not being able to maintain it. So still working on some of the things. I do, like I said, I do want to put out a regular video on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, as Wednesdays and Fridays would end up being the review. And that's pretty much it from me. It's been a solid 21 minutes now, and I want to see how this rig will work. Trying to still get the feel of it. I'm digging it. At some point, I'll end up learning how all this stuff works. And that's it pretty much for me. I appreciate you guys. I hope you had a great holiday. And I will be doing a couple more videos for the years out. I will be selling some books coming up pretty soon. Be looking for some announcements as far as on both Instagram and little clips I'll be dropping here about upcoming auctions that I'll be doing. I will be doing it in a whole new format. I got ADD, so it's hard for me to do standard format. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to make it fun. And that's it, man. I'm out. So I appreciate you guys. I look forward to seeing you more down the road. I hope you look forward to seeing me more down the road, especially in this type of quality. And that's it from me, Entropy. You take care.